Rev up your engine! People are always asking me what kind of car should they buy and what should they avoid. I help them out with an honest opinion. There are a bunch of people out there that aren't giving such honest opinions on stuff, yet people are probably following their advice. So I'm going to warn you not to listen to a lot of them. First of all, what credentials do they have? And do they have ulterior motives? Me? I've been fixing cars for 51 years. Am I selling you something? No, I'm just giving out information. Now you take journalists. A lot of people read stuff like MotorTrend, Car and Driver, that kind of stuff. Well, I tend to take all that stuff with a large grain of salt. For example, 2016 MotorTrend named the Chevy Camaro Car of the Year. They're not even going to be making Camaros after 2023. They're going to shelve them. And anybody who knows the quality or lack thereof of GM vehicles would never pick a Chevy Camaro as the Car of the Year in 2016. There's a world of cars out there. How you could pick that as being the Car of the Year, it certainly seems like there's a little underhandedness going on here. I'll give you another example. Years ago, I went to a Grand Prix race, was sponsored by all kinds of different stuff. I was interviewed by this Mexican gentleman who did internet car reviews, and he did it bilingually. So he interviewed me. Big mistake on his behalf. So he started out saying, well, Scotty, since all cars are so well made today and don't break, how can you make a decision on which one to buy? So I kind of glared at him and said, are you kidding me? I said, well, what about Jaguar and Land Rover? Those things fall apart. Don't tell me that they're well made. Now, he wasn't a mechanic, of course, he was a journalist. So he continued to interview me. I doubt if any of it aired. And after the interview was over, I said, well, where are you going next week? And he said that, well, Land Rover was flying them to, like, Finland, and they're going to unveil the new all-wheel drive Range Rover. Free hotel, champagne, you name it. Do you really think these people are going to give you honest reviews of anything? If they were like me and told you the truth about half the stuff, they would never have any cars left to review. The companies would never invite them to any of these things anymore. Hey, it's happened to me. In the past, I used to go to these dog and pony shows. I would always ask incisive questions. When everybody was gone, I laid back and then went up to the engineers and asked them questions. So when I said, okay, does the racing gas contain any ethanol? He said, no. I said, well, the ones at the pump have 10% ethanol, so right off the bat, it can't be 99% the same because 10% of the other one's ethanol. You don't have any. So he just smiled, and I said, what? You're going by ingredients but not percentage of ingredients, huh? And he smiled again. So I said, okay, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. So let's say I got a can of Coke here, and I put 1 drop of your racing fuel in it, then you can say that that racing fuel is 99% the same, just because it's Coke with 1 drop of gas. And he said, well, if you go by the ingredients and not the percentage of the ingredients, yes, you could say that. So a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. I remember when once I was at the Indianapolis 500, I was talking to the competitors who had sent me there. The competitors were Mobil 1. And the Mobil 1 guy says, don't tell me those guys are telling you it's the same oil that we use in the races they use in cars. And even he at Mobil 1 admitted, he said, our oil's different that we use in the race cars. I mean, but it's a PR game the guys play. Now, needless to say, I never get re-invited by these companies to come back because they don't like someone asking incisive questions. Sometimes they don't even allow you to ask questions, but I always find a way to ask real questions from the real engineers. So when you see a bunch of journalists or other car talk guys all meeting together somewhere, I take with a big giant grain of salt anything that they're telling you about just about anything, from cars to car products, especially when they have to say this was sponsored by blah blah blah. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like talking to the engineers, the people that design and test stuff. I find it fascinating. But most of these companies, they don't allow people to ask really incisive questions. They put on a dog and pony show for the people who merely go along eating and drinking and being entertained, then maybe giving away freebies to people, you know, free gasoline vouchers, whatever. You know, it's a PR scam for the corporations. It's not real information. Let's face it, if you're going to spend a ton of money on a car, you want it to last as long as possible, to have the least maintenance possible, and to hold up over years and years so you get your money's worth. Which of course is going against the planned obsolescence theory that modern capitalism is into. So these corporations are trying to make stuff that has planned obsolescence, and you want to buy something that isn't. So don't think they're not going to pay people to say how great things are that may not be so great. Now, I love talking to engineers who design stuff, come up with interesting ideas. They're still set somewhere, unless they're an independent engineer, and aren't too many of them. If they're working for a corporation, corporation pretty much tells them how much they want to spend, what they want to design, and they got to build it within those specifications. Take that newer Infinity variable compression engine that has different compression ratios, crankshafts and piston rods with cantilever systems, so the actual compression ratio inside the cylinders can be modified as you're driving. Brilliant engineering feat, but really, Infinity is owned by Nissan. They're not known for making things that hold up over time anymore. So you buy some complex design like that, it can easily fall apart and you're stuck with paying the bill. Now, of course, the engineers will often tout this stuff. Yeah, it's great for them because they design it, keeps them in a job, but hey, they're not mechanics. They're not actually going out and fixing these things and seeing how they break down, how expensive they are, or how unreliable they are. So you really can't believe what a lot of those people are going to be telling you. And when it comes to people that are doing car reviews on cars, if they're not a mechanic that's been doing it for quite some time, they have no idea what lasts, what doesn't last. You know, they're in the same boat as any journalist. If they keep knocking a particular type, then that company's no longer going to give them cars to review. They'll just say, oh, that guy thinks our car stinks, so we'll never invite him again. I was skimming through the internet the other day, and I found a car site, and it had reviews of 12 different cars, and they were all glowing reviews. They didn't say anything bad about any of them, you know? I mean, you could tell that that stuff is just being either paid for, or they're just lavishing praise and hope that they'll get paid later on. Now, unless you're going by pure cosmetics when you buy a car, how it looks and all the little dials it has and all the electronic crap that it can do, that's not a review you want to put any faith in when you want to buy a car that's going to last a long time and not bankrupt you in repairs when it gets to have 100,000 miles or be 6-7 years old. Now, I have to say, I'm in kind of a unique position here. I've got almost 700 million YouTube views telling people the truth about cars because people want to hear the truth. I tell them the truth. I don't have to take sponsors paying me money to pay my bills. I can be honest. A rarity. Somebody can actually tell the truth to people and make money at the same time. Hey, but I don't believe in that crap anyways. I think we're here to help people out. Don't get involved in selling a bunch of crap to people just because you're getting paid on the back end. We're talking about a huge chunk of your money buying a car. You don't want to waste that money. Get the wrong vehicle because you take advice from somebody who's either on the payola line or just flat doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. Take what people say on the internet and in print and on TV with a large grain of salt when they're talking about what car you should buy and how good certain models are. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.